Oh, you're right. Okay. And I'm just going to go live on YouTube, on Instagram.
Yay. I pressed it to go live on my LinkedIn.
It says connect streaming software to go live. It's not doing it. I'm pressing go live. Now it's working. Okay. Technology.
We're live.
Technology. Okay. I think I'm pretty good at technology mostly. So hello, everyone. Welcome to another version of our Let's Bubbl live stream show. Thank you very much for joining. Happy Memorial Day. We definitely live in memory of, our lost servicemen and women. And it's a great day. And I'm really excited today to have a really magnetic and fascinating woman on our show, Shaena Harrison. She is an official wing woman. And I'm really excited to dive into this concept. It's actually very aligned with what we do at Bubbl. Welcome, Shaena.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So Shaena, firstly, so you know the format, but firstly, I just want to know a little bit so where you're from. How did you make it to Sweden? How did a Canadian end up in Sweden? Maybe we just cover that, a little bit about, how that all happened.
Well, it all starts with the love of the Irish accent. I literally got a one-way ticket to Ireland 20 years ago because I have a thing for the accent, and I ended up meeting a Swede at a white trash themed barbecue, as you do. And here we are 20 years later.
Dublin. You made him in Dublin and ended up in Sweden. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And you have been in your career is, so maybe you could just tell us about your background. There's some really interesting entities you've worked with. Maybe share a little bit, and feel free to take your time because you have a really fascinating and interesting background for all of our viewers. As an experienced strategist. Let's get to that.
Okay, so it's funny. I was at a conference last week, and a friend of mine called, Scooby-Doo, the TV show or the cartoon. He's like, "Have you ever heard of the Shaggy stories?"
It's an offshoot.
Well, yeah, so Shaggy would always tell these stories that went and then finally it's like the janitor did it. So I tend to tell very long meandering stories, but I'm trying to get better at 2xing myself, 2xing. But just okay, so quick background. So originally from Canada, my mom started the first ever Make-A-Wish in Canada. So my whole life has been around watching connections happen, magic, and I didn't realize it until many years later that I'm a connector, right? My superpower is saying, oh, you do this and you do this. Why don't I introduce you guys? But as a connector, we do this for the sake of that. We love to do it, not because of money. It's never been about money, right? And if you look at my LinkedIn, I always tease, I've worked for some pretty incredible companies like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. But sadly, I lost my job I lost my job 4 times in 3 years. And after the 4th one, I was like, okay, so the universe is trying to tell me something. I'm just stubborn. And a phone call from a friend, and November 2022, ChatGPT had just come out. So the phone call from the friend says, "Hey, Shaena, do you remember when I met you at that event and you introduced me to everybody in the room? Can you do that for me again? I want to pay for you to go to a conference with me. Can you be my professional wing woman?" And I'm like, what the heck's a professional wing woman? Wow. So I type it into ChatGPT, and it's like, you like to help people find love. And I'm like, oh, no. But I do, from coming from the world of events, and I'm sure you'll recognize this, Hayley, you go to a conference and either people stick together or, there's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people are just basically going in and being like, hey, hi, I'm Shaena, I'm a professional wing woman. Nobody wants to be sold to at a conference, right? But yet that's the reason we go, because we want to have business. So what we do as wing people is we're kind of the bridge between the two. To basically be like, oh, have you met Hayley? Actually, Hayley's doing Bubbl. Bubbl's really cool, right? Bubbl is like LinkedIn and Airbnb had a baby. And here we are with shared curated housing. And hence the reason I'm so excited to be here with you tonight.
Amazing. So, okay, you're right. The term wing woman does actually refer to the dating scene. I now remember. And, usually it'll be like a woman's a wing woman for another woman, but she's probably married or something. So she's on the market, but she helps the other woman get leads. Yeah. And same with men too. Okay. Yeah. That's a very cool concept. Very interesting. So it's super interesting when we got talking. So actually, fun fact, I should have mentioned, Shaena and I met online. And when we got on the phone, there were just all these kind of similarities between what Shaena's doing in her philosophy and where I'd come from with Bubbl. And just to recap on that, the whole thing with Bubbl was that I was running those shared ski cabins, ski houses. They were not cabins, they were big houses. And the thing that I learned from that was that all these people loved their social side of going up to the ski house. And these were people who could afford hotels. And these are people who, you know, had a lot of successes, but they actually didn't mind like the fact that they, dare I say, lost a bit of privacy. Well, they always had their own private room, but they liked the lodge experience, like going out at breakfast in the morning and see who's cooking what and who's going skiing when, and let's meet up here and let's do a potluck dinner tonight. And, you know, it truly was, for some people, at least with the skiing, especially if they'd come from the East Coast and didn't know anyone, it was like the heart of their social life. And it was for me when I first moved to the Bay Area from London as well. And so these people who could afford hotels. And so I obviously hated organizing it. And that was the other part, you know, the organization piece for Bubbl. But back to the wing woman idea. So I think it's brilliant. So would you say that you are pioneering this concept, or would you say it's kind of already established? Or tell us how you work with events and how you work with people.
Great question. So when I decided to like pursue this, first of all, I was like, does this exist? This must exist. And when I did my research, I realized, no, this is the blue ocean. This doesn't exist. I mean, listen, you can book what I've heard are booth babes, like if you want to go to a conference, but they're just people that stand there and look pretty. They're not necessarily people that understand like strategy and business and connecting and how to.
I've got a story on that. I've got a story on that.
Oh, do you have a booth babe?
Yeah, the booth babe goes, oh, yeah, you need to speak to this guy. Failed to mention the specific information that he was actually at the conference. She failed to tell me he was actually at the conference. She just said, oh, you need to speak to this guy. I said, well, can you take my card to, you know, bring it home? I'm assuming, do you take leads? And, you know, and then I walk outside and walk past a guy and look at his badge, and it was that guy. And I went and spoke to him, and it was brilliant because they run the communities for Sephora and all these big one, EA and all this. And I was like, hang on, wait, the booth babe. I said, your booth babe didn't help you in any way, mate. Like, you know, like, it seems so weird to me. It never occurred to her to mention that he's actually at the conference. You might see him around.
Yeah, and I think that's the big difference. I mean, like, so wing people are conversation facilitators, super connectors. They can see the ones and the zeros. Like, I can't clone myself. Hence, I launched an agency just last year, and we're working with clients all over the world. So we work with 3 different types of clients. We work with either the event organizer. So they either embed us in the show, and so we're doing the thing on the floor. So you don't even realize sometimes that you're being connected, but you're going like, oh, that was a great experience. Oh, I just met the person I was trying to meet, and I didn't even have to like pitch, right?
Wow.
But we're very transparent. We're very like, so we're professional wing people. Our job here is to facilitate connections. Who would you like to meet today, right? And I did this last week at IMEX. You know, I was invited to the gala dinner, and you know, you go to a dinner like this, and everyone in the room is somebody of importance, but there's no guest list. You have no idea who anybody is, yet you can tell the salespeople are salivating. They're like, oh, who can I talk to? And so I was literally doing it for some of the sales teams. I said, guys, who do you want to meet? Like, let me help you tonight. Right, because it's going to help you. It's going to help everybody. Then everyone has a better experience. You get to showcase your ROI, which I call return on interaction, and it means you get to invest in it next year. Because the first thing to go when budgets are cut are events, right?
Yes.
Nobody realizes the power of in-person connection is so valuable, but we're losing it as AI goes like this. We don't know how to have conversations. So we work with event organizers. Either they embed us or they resell us. So if you go to a conference and they say, do you want a wing person? You say, yes, please. Or we go with clients to a conference, either with or without a booth.
Sorry, just to interrupt. That's when they sell to a sponsorship package. Tick if you want a wing woman. Is that how it works? And are you starting to get clients doing that?
Yeah. It's starting. Yeah, exactly. It's ramping up. We're taking off. I need more wing references. But yeah.
Wing more. You need more what? Wing.
I need more wing references. We're taking off. We're soaring in the sky. Yeah.
Take off. And so what? So the second way is the first way is they hire a team for the conference. What was the second way? The sponsors hire you. Is that what you're saying? The sponsors hire you?
Yeah. So the event, basically kind of the same thing that we want to do with Bubbl, right?
Yeah.
So event organizer understands the value. They communicate it to their channels. Same thing for wing people. If they say, hey, we're working with wing people, almost like, do you want fries with that? Do you want a wing person with that? And they can go, yes, please. And then my job is to match them.
Is that when they're buying a ticket? Wait, it's on the ticketing site. I want a ticket, I want a booth, and I want a wing woman. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it all depends on how we want to integrate it.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of the times what ends up happening for event organizers is they only think about their sponsors, but they forget about the attendees. Right? There's people that are coming to a conference. Like, imagine, I'm sure you go to conferences by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You're probably going to meet people, but you don't necessarily have a booth or have big budgets yet.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were to go, oh, what's a wing person? And if you were to go to a conference by yourself and be like, have a person like me, you
Yeah.
know, you and I could like, we could work a room like no one else. And then all of a sudden you're walking away with the investors and the sales leads and the whatnots.
Yeah, I mean, it is just so it's interesting because the old model of conferences is sell booth space, sell
Hmm.
sponsorships, so sell signage. I mean, depending on the type of event it is, sell
Yeah.
booth space. And I know I personally been pitched on booths, and I've gone, actually, I'd rather walk the crowd with my t-shirt on,
Yeah.
blowing bubbles. No, just kidding. With my bubble gun. No, I'd probably get kicked out
Do
of that, but maybe one day I'll do it.
it.
Shameless. Like I kind of feel like you can. Well, Bubble's a fun brand, so we can get away with a lot. I hope, but
Yeah,
no,
but definitely.
yeah,
But, it's just off the back of that is that B2B events are boring for the most part, right? Like you need to be able to stand out. When I go to a conference, I usually have big wings.
yeah.
Klaus, who's the director of the College of Extraordinary Experiences, he wears a Batman suit. And it's so funny because it's our signpost too. It's like, have you seen the guy in the Batman suit? Oh, yeah, he went that way. Who is the guy in the Batman suit? Have you seen the girl with the wings? Oh, yeah, she went that way. Who's the girl in the wings,
Oh,
right?
wow. That's a really cool
Yeah,
idea. I think that's a great idea for like symbolizing you guys. No, we have the Bubbl Bubbly pop-up lounge, which is we serve bubbles like actual champagne or
nice.
Bubbl Bubbly pop-up lounge. The only challenge at South by was a lot of people thought we were a brand of champagne. So we had to apparently Bubbl would be a great brand of champagne, except it's a brand of drink of water, and we're not a champagne company. But yeah, the idea obviously, create some fun. So your wing women are walking around these crowds and they're creating some fun, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, because you are fun. Tell me about the other people who are wing people. Like what's a characteristic of a wing woman, and what ultimately is you write a report. Like how does it actually unfold, and how do they measure their ROI, their return on
Yeah.
interaction with you guys?
Great question. So yeah, it's wing people. So I have both men, women, non-binary, whatever, yeah, there's a lot of us. What makes a great wing person is basically somebody who is, again, a super social person who is a conversation facilitator, who can ask great questions, who can listen very intently, whose brain, I mean, you can see people who are connectors, and I'm sure you have them in your network, whose brain goes when you say, "Hey, do you know someone that does this?" And they go, "Tick, tick, tick. Yeah, you need to meet this person."
Yeah.
And again, we're known as super connectors. There's a whole other community. Actually, we should talk to super connectors. This would be interesting for them,
Uh-huh.
for Bubbl. Here's my brain doing the thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's, like you need to have you need to have business acumen. You need to have a bit of a commercial background. You need to be able to read a room. Like it's funny. Most of the time when I find wing people, it's meeting them at events because I see them like in the wild, and I'm like, do you even realize what you're doing? And half of them don't even know that this is a talent, right? So
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's definitely how wing people work.
Yeah, that's incredible. So your plan with your sort of agencies to kind of dominate the world, and you're going into events. Yeah, amazing. And
Yeah,
just
I'm building a billion dollar agency.
a bit of your background. Can you tell us a little bit about your background before we talk about Bubbl and your interaction? So your background, tell us about what you did in your past that
Yeah.
led you to be able to have this kind of great life you have now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, listen, it hasn't been easy to get here. So let's see. So back in Canada, okay. So I studied sign language, which I'm a certified interpreter, which is absolutely useless the minute you leave Canada. It's also
Amazing.
why I'm very handsy when I talk.
Wow.
And then moved to Ireland. I ended up working in sales. So I worked for door-to-door phone sales. And then, moved to the next country, got the next job, which was in property management. Don't ever do it. You never want to be in between, the landlord and the tenant because someone's always upset.
Mm.
And then we moved to Sweden. I was pregnant with my second, basically tried to get a job, couldn't get a job because I didn't speak Swedish or like I didn't have the network. But finally, I actually went back to Canada and fell in love with the Color Run series that were sponsoring my mom's charity at the time. So I was like, oh, what's this? Why doesn't this exist in Scandinavia? And they're like, we don't know anyone. I was like, oh, now
What
you do. So,
what is the Color Run series?
the 5 kilometer run where you get color thrown at you?
No, I don't at
Oh,
all.
it's like a mix of a holy festival
Oh,
and a running event, but you
okay.
don't have to run.
Okay.
It's very colorful. It was awesome. It was such a great event.
Right.
So came back to Scandinavia, launched it here.
Mm.
And then that was my catapult to getting a job because I used to work for Ticketmaster back in Canada.
Okay.
But again, nobody really understands these companies, even though you know what Ticketmaster is. But because I don't speak Swedish, I don't get my foot through the door. So I ended up getting a job at the biggest ticketing platform that's a challenger to like Ticketmaster and Eventbrite and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Work with them for 2 years. And I'm always in sales, but I learned quite quickly that Sweden is like the mafia. You need to know someone, marry someone, or murder someone to get in. But I haven't
Right.
murdered anyone. But it's all about your network, right? So I went from all these jobs, was all within the tech space.
Yep.
And every time I go to a new one, they're like, oh, we like you. We're hiring. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll come. And then finally, I was in a sales job and my boss quit. And I was like, they wanted me to do 100 cold calls. I'm like, I'm not a cold call. Like, I'm a relationship salesperson. And if you don't get that, I'm out. So I
Mm-hmm.
quit my job. My boss at the time says, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I have no idea. And she's like, well, what do you like to do? And I'm like, first of all, I like to get paid. Second of all, I like to work in the tech scene. I want to make the world a better place. And I want to like bring people together. She's like, you need to be a community activation manager. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Meanwhile, I'm doing TEDx Stockholm during this whole time. This is the red thread. Yeah.
Oh, TEDx Stockholm. So you were like helping run it, or what?
Yeah. So I ran the production team for a couple of years and was part of I was part of the production team and took over in 2018. So the year that Greta shot to fame was our event, which was exciting. We didn't know who she was at the time, but man, she's made an impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, talk about
so
impact. Yeah.
I switched careers. I go into event production and I end up joining Singularity University, which is big
Wow.
and then producing their events.
Do they have it over in Sweden too, do they?
They have it all over the world. Yeah. So it's kind of like TED. It's a franchise organization, or at least it was before the pandemic. And then I think after the pandemic, it's kind of like dispersed a little. It's not what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
but incredible company doing amazing things. And I used to produce the events.
Wow.
And so from there, I made the hop to a big
That would have helped
Swedish.
you a lot, I would think, because
What's that?
that and TEDx would have really helped you with your network, because you would have been networking with all the speakers. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got my job at LinkedIn because of TED, because in 2017, the head of LinkedIn spoke at TED and there was a mishap in the TED world and I fixed a problem and someone saw what I did and like, hey, we're hiring at LinkedIn. Do you want to come work here? I'm like, yes, please.
So you worked I didn't realize you actually worked at LinkedIn. Sorry, I missed that. So tell us about your LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. Well, so
LinkedIn we say Airbnb books beds, LinkedIn builds networks, and Bubbl does both. So yes.
Yeah, I love it. Again, this is why I'm like, when you showed up on my radar, I'm like, this is interesting, right? Curated communities, shared housing, you're solving such a challenge. But yeah, I'll shorten my Shaggy Doo story. So join some of the biggest, like the Swedish unicorns. So if you've heard of Klarna, big fintech company, basically I'm called into an unscheduled meeting and let go immediately, which was the first time that's ever happened in my career. But it was the middle of COVID and I was producing a huge event. Got the next job at LinkedIn, again, was there. Things change. I'm no longer there. All of a sudden I'm working for the biggest Swedish telecom company. Amazing boss, love it, but I am not suited for big corporate. And then lose that job because they do redundancies.
You're doing event production for these guys.
I'm doing events. Yeah, there's a bit of events, project management. Like it literally it all has the same elements of being a wing woman, right? Like making sure things happen, making sure the right people get to the right people.
Right.
And then finally, the fourth job was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I'm like, again, I'm done. Like, now it's time to do my own thing. One of my friends who is incredible, I remember sitting in his office and he said to me, you know what, Shaena, the best thing I can ever tell you is you can never fire yourself. So go start your company.
Yeah.
Right? Go do your thing. And that sticks with me every day. So I don't know if you feel the same about like, you can't fire yourself, right?
Well, you kind of have to step all over you. Yeah. I mean, I don't have the best opinion of corporate America. I think everyone's living in fear. And I think I don't think the cream rises to the top from what I've seen in corporate America. Maybe the very top, but not the middle layer of whatever you call it. But back to Bubbl and back to what you're doing. So we're going to partner up. You're doing something pretty incredible, like kind of educating the event market. What do you see with Bubbl? Like what did you see in Bubbl that you thought could maybe like translate to like the conference market? Because when we first started Bubbl, I'll be honest, it was like a travel app for vacations. Like, and that networking piece of it, I mean, it is very important, could be used for vacations, but like, we started doing proof of concepts around events because we felt we could get network effects, because we know we can get people, we find the people that are going. And what we learned from that was that, people, and this is really true, like people walk into Bubbl thinking they're buying a bed and they walk out with like new
community.
Yeah. And so I've started actually calling us a community travel platform, a community marketplace. We want to partner with communities. We want to partner with event organizers. We see it as a flywheel, like kind of like communities send people to events, and events need communities. They build their own communities, but they also want to growth hack of other communities. Because I could tell you one thing about when I was younger and I used to have more parties than I do now at home. People would say to me, Hayley, your parties are so interesting. And they'd say, because you invite everyone you know to your parties, and everyone's like cross-fertilizing and mixing and getting to know each other. Whereas I do know some people that would compartmentalize their parties and their friends. And I think those people are totally boring, because I think what makes a great party is when you walk in and you like totally meet like the random person that's like just fish out of water. They're always the most interesting person at the party, usually.
Yes, but there is a bit of curation in it, because there are some times where you can like, I want to invite people, but I know I shouldn't, like, this is why I don't do I don't do matchmaking romantically with my friends, because I'm like, if it ever blew up, I want to still be able to invite you both to the same dinner party, right?
Yes.
However, my friends, like, I'm like, you guys can date. I just don't want to do the matchmaking. Like, if you happen to fall in love with one of my friends, great, all for you. But don't mess up my dinner parties, right? But no, I think, what's interesting. So like, so I'm going to tell a bit of a little interesting story. So you ended up in my LinkedIn feed, or in my LinkedIn message. And I think the message was, it was so like, see you at Startup Grind in California. And I'm like, interesting.
No, you know what? We still don't know how the campaign started. It's been like automatically run. We don't even know. We didn't run it. But I don't know what happened. But yes, it was. It was. It made sense, didn't it? It made no sense.
It made no sense. But, and it's interesting, because I talk a lot about, the irrevocable pitch slap on LinkedIn, where people tend to send you a message, but they don't look at what you do. But I tend to click on people because I'm curious, because I'm absolutely fascinated.
Yeah.
And I clicked on you and I was like, oh, this is actually quite interesting. And so I wrote you back. And then all of a sudden we hopped in a call and here we are.
Yeah.
But like the week prior, I was in London for London Experience Week. And I stayed in a shared housing with a bunch of girls, women that I didn't know. And I'm like, oh my God, we could have totally used Bubbl for the interface, for the management, for the money exchange, because Julie, who booked it, she did a great job. And like all the, oh my God, like, what it's like, these 7 people that were in this house, like we bonded in such a way that it's like, inside jokes and friends for life and stuff that you never expected. But it was also a very curated house, because we're all experienced designers.
Wow.
Right. So we all have something in common, but we don't realize what we have in common yet.
Yeah. And every time we run houses, so I had my ski houses for those years, and people who had business relations that would form. We call it, so one of our values is serendipity. In fact, we got 5 values. Fun is one of them. I used to work for Virgin, right? So there's a lot of Virgin in Bubbl. I used to work for Uber. There's quite a bit of Uber in the product in Bubbl, more so in the culture. But serendipity is like one of our top values, and it pretty much is like not just a buzzword. It really is the thing that happens, because what I saw in like running my ski houses 8 years in a row, and my heli ski trips to some extent too, was like the people that kind of mix up, like get together, and real business sometimes gets done out of that relationship form. The last Bubbl I was in, or that I saw happen was Startup Grind. And, we had people with a bit of trepidation coming in, these founders coming in saying that short, but really coming out like quite changed, like, wow, this concept is really cool. And it's just because I think maybe we spend so long either remote working, as especially entrepreneurs, or, to that point out and about where our guard's up and we're trying to meet many people. But when you're at home, you're kind of like, and just you can. I mean, the thing in a Bubbl house is that you can stay in the bedroom and you can work and just do. But you know what? A lot of people like to come downstairs and be social in the kitchen. It's a bit hard to stay away, right? Yeah. It's a bit hard to not be social in the kitchen. It's a bit like when I go to 15, I don't go there enough to work because I know I socialize too much and I don't get as much work done. But so like what I saw, it was the people who just all they had in common was they were going to the conference together, which in itself means they have quite a bit in common. They're all founders, sorry, as well. And then we had investors as well. How would you see, like knowing what you've done for a living, how would you see maybe Bubbl going out in the wild in conferences? And actually, if Bubbl was executed at its best, what would it look like for an event producer? How would Bubbl be deployed And what do you think the results would be?
Great questions. So I'm going to put it from my perspective because so I'm an accidental community builder, right? Like I didn't realize, like my dog park, I've renamed to the Bark Park, and I have like a WhatsApp group for our area now. Because I'm like, we need friends. Our dogs need friends. I don't want to be at the dog park all by myself,
Yeah,
right?
that's awesome.
Um,
That's amazing.
so I think from my perspective is as a wing person, as someone whose job it is to help facilitate connections, if I can work with my wing squad. So last week I was at IMAX and I had a wing squad, meaning that I was winging a bunch of different people for the whole week. If we could all stay at the same house and sort of strategize, like that would be great. At least for me. I don't know about for them, but again, because some of them need that decompression. But as you said, they can go to their own room. But even if I'm able to curate the house and go like, actually, I want to stay with all the speakers because we're all interesting people and we have interesting things to say. So like what makes me really excited about Bubbl from an events perspective is like, again, and I'm going to be doing it for Tech BBQ, is I want to curate my house. I want to be like, oh, you're cool. Like, who are you? You're interesting. And also give access. I mean, it's about belonging and inclusion and give,
Yes.
an opportunity for people that don't normally get to come to, these networks, be like, okay, come join us. Like my biggest thing is always about inclusion and making sure people feel welcome.
Yeah.
So like, I cannot wait to build a house that has that embedded in it because, and as I'm sure you're aware of, like, and for anyone who's listening now, but like you go to conferences.
Let's show the listing. Let's get Shaena's listing up.
Oh, show the listing.
Yeah. So Shaena, tell us about Tech BBQ. Tell us about your idea and how you want to curate the house. Tell us about, the approach to the house. Because by the way, one of the big things that's on my pitch deck, it's on all my decks, is about leaders get a time saving and they get like an incentive to do it, and they get a good feeling of doing it too when you can connect people. It's a good feeling. And the people who are going to the thing, they get clarity. They understand what they're buying. It's all very clear in the listing, but they get trust. Obviously, like we can establish trust because we're being that marketplace role, but also a sense of belonging. To your point, so our software, the way the dashboards work and the chat works, it's like all in one hub. It's all in one bubble. There's no other word for it. Your bubble is your bubble, and it's combined of everything that people are going to do, who the people are, what they're getting together for, what's the purpose, what's the vibe, and all that stuff. And that's kind of what our listing shows. Maybe show us, what is Tech BBQ, by the way? What is
Tech
it?
BBQ is one of the biggest events for the startup ecosystem in the Nordics. It's been going on in Copenhagen for, I don't want to say more than 10 years is my guess. I'm actually not sure of the number of years, but this year they're actually, they're going bigger. So they used to be, I won't even try my Danish. They used to be in a locomotive house, and it's the way they do their events is very inclusive. So everything, like the booth space, the talks, everything is in one room, but then they use like, silent discos, and it's so well designed. It's one of my favorite events. But this year they're going bigger. They're going to the Bella Center. And
Where's
it's probably
that?
going to be
Copenhagen?
it's still in Copenhagen. Yeah, it's still in Copenhagen, but it's a big,
And
big
it's for
corporate
tech people.
space.
Is it like South by for tech people? Has it got an actual topic, or
Yeah,
is it?
yeah, it's definitely it's where it's where hygge meets tech, and hygge means cozy in Danish.
Yeah. Oh, it means hygge means tech. So I know what hygge is. It means
Hygge means cozy, exactly. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I have thought about the word hygge. Let's talk about that. I knew what
Yeah.
that word meant. I've got a little bit of like, I don't know, an interest in Scandinavia. I've got friends I went to high school with from Scandinavia. I've spent time in Scandinavia. I worked at Nokia, which means I automatically kind of know the Finnish culture. But I do know what hygge is. And obviously, because they have so much darkness and winter, they definitely need the hygge. But it is an interesting concept. And it's all about that feeling of comfortable and being safe. Is that right? And just cozy, warm.
Yeah, cozy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Getting to know people, connecting, card games, that sort of thing. Probably
Exactly.
by the fire.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really cool. So that goes for 3 days, does it, or 2 days?
So the conference is 2 days, but there's always probably like the before and the after, like there's satellite events, but the official conference is those 2 days.
Okay.
I'm going to be there doing my wing woman thing, but also like I also need somewhere to stay. So
Yeah.
you've come at the perfect time. And so, yeah, we're doing this bubble. And the idea is like, who wants to have a good time? Yeah. Right.
And
Who wants to get business?
And is it kind of like a house? I mean, honestly, to be honest, usually it doesn't matter because they're like, unless it's like a pimp and like penthouse or something, like I find when the bubbles happen, it really doesn't matter what the house is, although at least, if it's got a pool, great, blah, blah, blah. But over here, if you so another question for you is, what kind of people do you think would make good bubble leaders? Someone who goes to a lot of conferences, what would people get out of it? What kind of people do you think would benefit from being a leader?
I think a leader would definitely be somebody who is a community builder or even an accidental community builder, someone who naturally is me and my friend, we always talk about, excuse me, professional cat herding, right? We're all professional cat herders. And again, you'll know these people in your network. They're ones that are coordinating, making sure people know where they need to be. They'll probably post the dinner wherever you're supposed to go, and they'll be like, all right, who's coming? Like, they're just natural collectors.
Right.
So I
Right.
think those are your kind of people that are bubble leaders. Because I was talking to another friend about Bubbl, and he was like, oh, I don't really feel like I want to do the logistics. So you also need somebody who, I even see like a team. Like if you have me, who's somebody who's the promoter, and then somebody else who's the logistics, you could do a Bubbl together. I mean,
Actually,
I can do a Bubbl on my own because I like,
yeah.
again, as a recovering event producer, I have the logistic brain.
Yeah, yeah. We have the facility or the ability for people to do like co-bubble. Like we have the ability. So just to give you like the heads up here, especially some of your audience that listens, we've got the ability to have a figure leader, which could be a speaker, and they may not even have to do as much because then we have like the other admin roles, but they're like the figure leader. So the way we would kind of think about Bubbl with events is you can first start, if you want to house a really like high-end speaker, but you want to give them a house, and maybe you don't have to give them a house. That's the whole point. You don't have to give them a house, but you'd like to.
Yeah.
And you can ask them if they want to be a figure leader in a Bubbl. And what the cool thing is about that is that they will bring the other people wanting to be, and you can ask them to share it, because like if you're going to give them a free room, why would you not for a week or whatever? And ask them to share it to the networks. And then you can have people apply to this Bubbl. You can attract people who want to be in the Bubbl. You could start, if you're an event organizer building your Bubbl, you could have people charge a premium for a room by being in this Bubbl. The rooms, if they want, you could arbitrage that, because people want value, and if they get an extra special networking experience by being in a Bubbl with this person, then they're probably going to they're going to be interested to do that all day long, because there's nothing like getting an Uber with someone, or nothing like getting breakfast with someone, or a cup of coffee in the morning, or just something a little bit extra. And the other thing is, like, I kind of look at it, and it depends on the conference, but I feel that, and I'd love to get your opinion, like, what do you think about sponsorships? Like, sponsors are very important for events.
For sure.
What do you think about, like, I kind of look at it like, depending on what's available inventory wise, there could be like, the idea that you could have, just like you do with a panel sponsored by so-and-so. It could be the same, sponsored by ABC, and there could be like a demo that's included, or it could be like, what do you call it, where you placement of products.
Well, I can tell you actually one of the best ones. So when I worked in events, we there's a famous festival out in Sweden called Way Out West. And we did the so Nöjesguiden is the name of the magazine, and they would do the Nöjesguiden train from Stockholm to Gothenburg, and it was basically like invite only, all the cool kids. It was a party train for 3 hours, and I remember sitting on the train, and this guy, I look at him, I'm like, I think I know who he is, right? And I say to my friend, I'm like, I think he's famous. And I pull up IMDb on my phone, and I'm like, I'm awkward now, right? I'm like, I'm sorry, is this you? And it turns out he's the actor from shoot, what was he in? His name's gonna leave me now, but he, when they remade Point Break?
Yes.
It was that guy.
Oh, they remade it? Okay. I didn't know they remade it.
Yeah, they remade it. And so I ended up sitting on the whole train ride with him, and I'm fascinated, because I'm like, he's up and coming in, like, the acting world. Luke Bracey is his name.
Okay.
And Australian guy. So we ended up sitting on this whole train, but I'm like, if I hadn't been on this 3-hour train, which was branded by the company going to this festival, I would, like, I still remember this moment to this day, and that was like 8 years ago now, right? So if you think about,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think definitely. I think there's an opportunity for sponsorship in housing, and creating, create the Sephora house, or the, I don't know what, some of the brands, the Coca-Cola house. You could do so many cool things with this.
So I have some experience with the Olympics. People don't know that about me. I've worked on 2 Olympic programs at the VIP level. And I was one of them. I was a translator, Japanese speaker. That's aging me now, but and I was taking the Australian Organising Committee around to the Olympics, and then I worked in the Australian Olympics, and that's what I saw. You know, I saw these really sophisticated hospitality programs that were run by Carson Wagenly and people, and they run for Coca-Cola, and you know that model of what happens, like that's really professionally produced, and you know I can kind of see. I could actually see it going all the way down into like the music festival scene, like with like, for example, I have this idea about, you know, the Paris Hilton, or insert name of DJ, the Diplo signature villas for, you know, whatever if it's Ultra, or maybe I don't know where Diplo, maybe it's in Ibiza. And they would be like where you would get a chance to probably have a meet and greet with Diplo. But the more important thing is you'd be staying in the villas with other people who were kind of like, honestly, hand selected. Like you'd apply and you'd be put into the villas because you were cool and you could pay. Thing. And you know, this idea about like, so I, you know, Bubbl, what we've done, just to kind of summarize up here, like we're putting together the tools for the people to organize it, the tools for them to curate it, and I'd argue the opportunity for event organizers to like take it and run with it. Camp organizers, festival organizers, professional conference organizers, sports events, Super Bowl, FIFA, partnering with like, you know, the Olympics. Like I actually think we could save them having to build a lot more hotels with the Olympics if people are curated and doing housing. It's just an extra step to what Airbnb have done. I mean, Airbnb kind of started like this with owners and houses. We're democratizing it. We're saying, no, why would I have to do it just if I own a house? No, why can't I travel? I mean, for me, it was like, why is it that I can book a property of any size anywhere, but if I just want to share that property and if I just wanted to buy a room because I'm going to this thing, why can't I share a house with someone? It doesn't, it would seem fair to me, especially for solo travelers. And so it'll be really exciting to kind of see where we go with this. Shaena, what other things have you got like just planned, like before we kind of close up? Like what's big for you? What's going to be a big thing for you this year?
Oh man, great questions. Definitely more events, a lot of more events, a lot of travel, more wing womaning by proxy. I hope you and I are going to physically meet. You were saying something about Tech Week in New York. Never been to New York. I'm available. When is it? Let's go.
It's a week and a half. Yes.
It's in a week and a half. I'm available. What do you need?
We're actually running an event at Tech Week. We're running a travel meetup. We've done it at South by. We did it at. We're doing it all the time. They're really great. People who want to travel and join Bubbl and start bubbling. I mean, I think the thing is, from where we're at, we're super excited to meet you and have you on board as, you know, one of our Bubbl leaders, and you know, very much excited for, you know, how you could kind of maybe spread the word with Bubbl and enjoy your own bubbles and
definitely
Bubbl, give us feedback as we're designing products. So we're going to, like, what we want to do, and just to anyone that's in our audience here, we want to, you know, meet people who'd like to lead Bubbl houses. On our website, there's going to be a list. Alexis, can you quickly go to the events page? Sorry, I didn't tell them we're going to show this, but if you could just show our events page, we have built out an events page. It's going to have a search feature. There's going to be a toggle between events and listings. The toggle and stuff's not up yet, but the events page does show all of the big events. So you'll be able to, right now you can type a name in of an event, but there will be like a drop-down box. And we have all the big events coming up, a lot of tech events, some music events, some crypto events. Like you'll be able to get a Bubbl for any of these events or post your Bubbl for any of these events. And we want to work with as many event partners as we can to get this out to their communities. Like use our platform, let people meet. Let people share housing. Let people let sell more tickets because more people can come, because now they got a housing solution at the same time, and it's a social one.
I'm having so much FOMO for this list right now.
Right, and that's the other thing. Find the events you want to go to and find other people. I've got a guy at Slush who's going to put together lots of houses already. Art Basel should be a really big one this year. We're working directly with the Tulum Crypto Festival. Those guys are going to be doing multiple events this year. I'm excited for JP Morgan Healthcare. Slow down, Alexis. Go back up. Just because JP Morgan Healthcare, thanks. That's everyone says about how hard it is to get like reasonably priced accommodation, because people, it's like South By. They're not coming in for the conference. They're coming in for the people that go to the conference, and then it becomes its own ecosystem. So if anyone can put me in touch with the people who organize JP Morgan conference, please do let me know. Just one thing. We have a question from Andrew in the audience. What is our goal for Tech Week Barbecue using the platform? What is the benefit for Tech Barbecue and Bubbl becoming partners? That's a great question, Andrew. Thank you so much. So, Shaena, you know, you're doing a bubble. So clearly there's demand for bubbles at that thing. You know, if Tech Week were to work with us, we could help them. We could give them a page. So that's that event page. We would give them a page and they could promote it to their audience. They could do the things. They could set up bubbles. They could help promote your bubbles. And they could do that with hotel rooms as well. Even if they had a hotel room partner, they could set up shared hotel room bubbles. So they could actually sell on behalf of their hotel room partner the shared hotel rooms.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah, I think it's a better promotional platform to say what's going on from a accommodation point of view, which doesn't exist in the ecosystem right now.
Right.
So, right. I mean, imagine going to Tech BBQ and be like, I'm looking for a place to stay. Oh, cool. I'm going to go stay at the Wing Squad house because I actually want to get business out of this conference in a non-salesy way, right? No, it's.
They're amazing. Well, look, thank you very much, Shaena. Is there anything else you'd like to add, chat about?
Yes, I have to tell you that I need to swallow my again, I always tease people never to do pitch slaps, but I think this is one of the best pitch slaps, accidental LinkedIn connections that has ever entered my world.
Absolutely. Please. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, that's it. No, you're making me swallow my words.
Well, no,
so
I think one thing that we're going to do at a minimum, you and I, is we're going to like collaborate together because what you offer the networking at the event and we offer the networking, like we offer the housing and the networking before the event. So we're going to collaborate and cross-fertilize and, you know, grow both our businesses.
We're going to have business babies.
Business babies. Yes. And because you wrote to me, a lot of people write to me and go, you know, Bubble's a really cool concept. I don't tend to write back and go, yeah, your company's a cool concept too, because sometimes they are. But actually Wing Women really is. Remember I wrote you, I said, you know, by the way, I think it's a cool concept. And the last thing on that is that so many people actually are kind of introverts. And a lot of these founders are, especially like these deep tech engineering founders, they need help. They need help. They need social help.
That's the thing. Everybody needs help. Even if you're super social and you're extrovert, again, a wing person helps you say your name when you're not in the room and also make sure that you don't do any sort of pitches that, like, again, nobody wants to be sold to, right? We want a warm introduction. So again, everyone, have you met Hayley? I hope I'm pointing in the right way now. She's over here on me.
And you're over here and this is Shaena. She's like, I got magnetic energy. This is like
But on that note, I should probably go to bed because it's almost 1 a.m. here.
Oh gosh, sorry, I forgot you're in Sweden. Okay, Shaena, thank you again. It was really great to have you on our program. We will share the link to this and there'll be some outtakes. And we're excited to bubble with you and Wing Woman with you this summer and ongoing. And thank you so much for your time and being on our program.
Thank you.
Let's bubble.
Let's bubble.